Forever a wise guy.
Let us simply say there may be moments within what you would perceive to be our demeanor where we would seem to be perhaps intent upon something. But there is always contentment with that.
So you're simply focused more in certain directions
Perhaps,
at times. Okay.
That may create an apparency of fluctuation. And it is fluctuation, but not within what you would call a wide range of emotional fluctuation.
Gotcha. Some reflection on personal experiences that occurred recently. Actually been going on for some time. We've addressed this. I think most of the answers are there, but it has to do with...
Shall we now undress it?
Yes, undress it. I like that concept very much. Anyway, it has to do with the fact that on a number of occasions I have got excited about things, had them go extremely well, and then for no apparent reason, have them go wrong.
Wrong?
Wrong, meaning heavy fluctuations in emotion appear to be able to not sustain the excitement or to have the specific materialization. Now, I know that this, you speak of the subject of expectancy, and one comes back to simply allowing what occurs to occur.
Yes, and recognizing what is occurring to be a part of the change you have made, and ceasing to assume that it is an indication of an interruption in that idea.
That's part of what I need some would like some reflection on, because it seemed to fall into the old pattern of.
Why do you continue to assume? Let me put it this way.
Sure.
The old pattern, if it is anything, is your continuance to assume that you are falling back into an old pattern.
No, I'm simply trying to look at it. This is not true. I don't expect these things to occur.
That's not the point.
Okay.
What we are saying is that when they do, you are saying that you continue to evoke the old pattern of assuming that these things that have occurred are the wrong things, rather than knowing you have changed, and therefore what is occurring is the thing that is indicative of the change and not an interruption in the change.
Understood intellectually. Emotionally, you've got, I have an excitement going, something is flowing in a particular direction, and then there is the feeling, I know this is possibly not, you're not too familiar with feeling like crap, but I can get an exterior view, I can take the exterior point of view that you have, but I'm not sure whether you are familiar with the with that kind of vibration being stuck in that sort of a heavy, condensed, emotional type of
We
pattern.
can recall from the experience of the physical channel's life in terms of our past experience in that way to some degree.
Mm-hmm. But I'm not sure that the exterior viewpoint always has a degree of workability.
Yes. Why doesn't yours?
Because it gets introverted instead of
Why
extroverted.
does it get introverted?
Because of my judgments on the energy that materializes.
Why do you
that
judge
was
them?
unexpected.
Why do you judge them?
Habit, I suppose.
Why do you have that habit?
Good question.
Well, if you continue, I shall say, to bring yourself back to the level of looking at the habit you believe you have, then work with that idea while you're on that level, perhaps as a suggestion. And speaking in your colloquial terms, the reason you keep bringing yourself back to that point perhaps is because you haven't dealt with that point yet. Perhaps there is something you are not looking at, not dealing with before you go on. Perhaps you are attempting to circumvent something you really know deep down inside of you you need to look at first.
Obviously.
All right. So, how does having the habit, if you believe you have it, how does that serve you? What is there within the idea of having that habit that you need to look at?
It sticks your nose back into the situation that you haven't been looking at, I suppose.
All right, that may be one idea. There may be things about yourself that you are avoiding looking at.
Let me give you a specific example, because I seem to be getting a little bit off of this. I have someone that I love very much, and we've been having experience of abundance, and then there materializes an apparency of having to go back to struggle, resulting in grief.
Way?
To have financial freedom to move around. The person feels that, we were flowing, creating a certain abundance.
An abundance of some specific idea?
Money.
Why just that focus?
I didn't have just that focus, but I found that she fell into the concept of having to go back to struggle in order to survive. And I felt empathy for that.
So,
I wasn't certain how to handle it.
all right. Empathy, A, does not have to mean sympathy, nor does it have to mean sharing the idea in your reality.
There wasn't sympathy.
All right.
There was a bit of sadness.
Well, then,
That
sympathy.
Okay. Touche.
Now, the idea of watching another individual go through the fluctuations of their understanding of abundance, if that be the thing they are working through, does not, in your terminology, even though you are quote-unquote bonding with them, have to necessarily create fluctuations in your life that you must experience in the same way. If you agree to go through fluctuation because the other individual is going through fluctuation, then your solid trust and faith and belief in what your fluctuations represent as a positive idea can allow you, in translating them in a positive way and seeing positive manifestation in your life occur from treating it that way, can allow you to function as a reflective positive mirror for another individual going through what may on the surface appear to be similar fluctuations, but which they may be choosing to interpret as negative. So you can act as a polarity, again the idea of the gear, the two sides of the gear. Just because another individual sees the fluctuations as representing a left hand, if you wish, or a negative turn, doesn't mean you have to, even in experiencing the same surface manifestations, doesn't mean you have to interpret them in the same way. You can reflect your interpretation in a positive direction of the same fluctuations. Again, remember, no circumstance has built-in meaning. Just because they look the same, just because you are going through the same scenario, doesn't mean it will affect you in the same way if you don't have a similar attitude to someone who is going through it and choosing to look at it as a negative experience.
Yeah, I think I tend to fight the experience that they have.
You might just be assuming that simply because you are in the same boat, you have to be seeing the same ocean. And that is not true.
Yeah, no, I don't, Bashar. What tends to happen is...
Now, one moment.
Go ahead.
Nothing tends to happen.
Agreed. Okay, poor choice of words, which reflect, I understand.
Go ahead and define.
I will be almost projecting a mental bolt that's too strong that says, no, you don't have to think of it this way.
All right. Now, there's a very strong and important clue for you as well. For you may be focusing on the fact that you fear you will fall into it so strongly that you automatically do. You don't have to fight that off.
You hit a chord there.
Just know that you don't prefer it that way. And if for a moment, because of the empathy, because you wish to identify, because you wish to understand what someone else is going through, if for a moment you identify to the point where you experience the same idea, you empathize, doesn't mean it has to continue for longer than the moment it takes to understand what they are going through so you can help them.
Right.
So, do not fear that just because you do perceive the identification of what they are going through, that it becomes a scenario you have to fight back. For that attitude in and of itself will plop you squarely in their ocean.
Lovely. That's very helpful.
Thank you for opening that door. It was well oiled.
Thank you. You're a good friend, Bashar. What was the question you wanted to ask about? Best material for meditation pyramid.
Perhaps copper. In the idea that it is a very strong electromagnetic conductor in that way.
Lovely.
One side facing magnetic north. All right?
You're as clever as we are, Bashar.
Clever.
You
Have
got.
I just been insulted?
You got no. Only if you choose to assign that meaning to it.
I will take it as a compliment.
Oh, well, good. That is the way it was meant.
Oh, I know. But you know how much fun we love to have with you.
I know. Together.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Hello. Sharing.
Hi, Bashar.
Hi.
Good to see you. And I'm really sharing this evening.
By all means.
Oh, great.
Speak up, be bold, and share.
Okay.
I will take.
Oh. All right.
Enjoy your share.
Thank you. Okay. Well, last week I learned to follow the excitement. So I thought, well, I'll do it. So I well, I needed a job at the time. So one of the things I did was call up a company I used to work for, and I couldn't have just an ordinary job. I had to have the best exec secretary job there. So I used to work there, and the executive I called said, "How did you know?" I said, "Know what?" And he said, "My secretary's leaving, and I need someone. How could you possibly know? We haven't told anyone or posted it or put an ad in the paper." And I went, "Well, what can I say? This is the truth of what's happening." And he says, "Well, get over here." So I went over there and had a nice reunion with them, and then I was in waiting, okay? And I didn't really know if I had it, but I was pretty sure I did. So I had some considerations on it, though. I thought, geez, I'm going to get stuck in this job. It's going to take up so much of my time. I'm a singer also, so I need a lot of other time. And and I had these considerations like, oh, God, it's going to be full-time. I'm not going to have enough time, right? So it just kind of floated along for 2 weeks while I was listening to Bashar tapes and everything. And then there's another excitement in my life to follow, and I thought, well, that's cooking on the back burner. I'll go off and follow this other one. And so I made a reunion with a very dear friend of mine who was appearing at the Anaheim Convention Center last Saturday. And I went, and I was so excited to see him again, and it was packed there. And I went with two of my friends here tonight, and we were sitting there waiting for the show to start, and my one friend, Lila, said, "Why don't you go down backstage before the show starts?" And I went, "Oh, no, he's busy. I haven't seen him in 3 years," and all that kind of shit. Just go. I went, all right. So I went back downstairs, and there was this gate. And right at this gate was a man, and he had a little uniform on and a name tag that said Marty. And I said, "Hello, I'm a friend of Jose's, and I'm here to see him." And he goes, "I'm sure you are." And he just opened the gate. Right? And yeah, I just walked right on through. And I went backstage, and I just had this most incredible reunion with him. And he asked me, "Please stand beside the bandstand while I do the concert." And I said, "I'd love to." So I just stood there, and when his opening number, it was just so incredible, the excitement and ecstasy of that moment with the crowd and everything and the orchestra, and I just stood there and realized I am living my dream. Hey!
Yes, yes.
Because that's what I wanted to do, and there I was, and I went, this is where I belong. All right. So I had two really great, tremendous things happen, and then I started having a dream.
Okay.
And I dreamt that I was going into, I thought it was a car wash, right? And I thought I was in my car, but I like my little car, and it's kind of like a little spaceship, you know. And I drove into this place, and it was all white and misty. And I went, well, it's not really a car wash, so. So I got out of my car, and it was more like a bay, like a big bay, you know, like a docking bay or something. And I got out of my car, and I stepped back, and I took some things out of the car to throw in the garbage that I didn't want. And my car immediately transformed into what I thought was this beautiful white motorhome. And I went, this is beautiful, right? And I went, wow. So I went inside, and everything looked familiar to me. And I went, yeah, that's mine. Okay, and then I went outside. Oh, I was about to go outside, and this man came in. And he resembled a man who had threatened me once in my life. And I had a trickle of fear for a second, then I went, right? And the guy came towards me, and he just looked at me, and I just put it out there, hey, no negativity. So, so instead of harming me, he just went around and he picked up some of my belongings, and he just started putting them in an order that I didn't approve of, okay? And I went, okay. And I just walked out. I didn't get all caught up in it, right? So I walked out, and I'm standing there, and I turn around, and to my left is this guy, and he's like 8 feet tall, 7 or 8 feet tall. I mean, I had to go like that, you know, I'm short, but I looked at him, and I went, gee, that's weird, I haven't seen you before. Right, and he goes, well, I've seen everything that's happened. And I went, really? And as I kept perceiving him, I could perceive him even more. And here was this gorgeous man. He was blonde. He had giant blue eyes, beautiful light tan golden skin, flashing perfect white teeth. He was gorgeous, right? And I went, wow. And he had white on. He was just, wow, right? And he came around. And he came around behind me, and I went, whoa. And he put his... and I was so like, wow. And he put his arms around me from behind. And I felt as though I was being enveloped in wings or something. It was so wonderful. And he put forth to me the most love I have ever experienced. And I melded with this person. And
yes, you did. For it is you. It is your own future beingness. Welcome home.
Thank you.
To that space, to that ship, and to yourself, which has beckoned you from across the ages. More communications will ensue. More connection. More acceleration. More ecstasy, believe it or not.
Can't hardly take anymore.
Oh, yes, you can. Perhaps not the you are now, but the you are becoming will always be able to let more in and give more out.
Oh.
At this timing, we will extend our appreciation for your sharing.
Thank you.
And will suggest that each and every one of you live your break. We will resume contact momentarily.
Thank you.